All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Monday, July 28th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That's Jake Jimerson. This is presented to you by Rogue Sports Network, and this is All in Horns. Getting reports over the weekend, Sark was able to sit down and discuss a couple of players, and one of the topics of discussion that I found extremely interesting that I kind of want to hone in on more than anything is what he had to say about five-star freshman athlete, number one athlete in the entire country, committing to Texas over the previous season, and Micheal Terry, and where he fits in with this team, what they're planning on doing with him, and kind of his progress really throughout the offseason, where he was an early enrollee, got to be on campus with the team during the spring semester, has gone through all the summer workouts, now approaching the fall time where the regular season is going to begin. And Micheal Terry, I'm curious, I can kind of, the tea leaves are kind of saying red shirt year, I would think. And that's okay, kind of to get him caught up to speed. Where he was in high school, Jake, they used him for everything. He was not a defined wide receiver. He was not a defined running back, was not a defined quarterback, was not a defined defensive back, but they played him everywhere. Punt returner, kick returner, just a freak athlete. Put your best athlete and give him the football. And that's kind of how they used him in high school. I can't fault the high school for doing that, but I do think it slowed him down developmentally to get to a position for him to succeed early on in college, no matter where he decided to go, whether that was Ohio State, whether that was Texas, Oregon, no matter where he was going to go. I think he would probably have a little bit of a struggle just finding a defined position for him. Sark has said that they are refining his wide receiver skills. They're playing him at wideout right now. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's where he's going to stay forever, but they want him to develop those wide receiver traits and fine-tune those technical mechanics of his for probably next season, I would imagine. But Jake, what's kind of what you're hearing, what your feelings are, and things like that on what Sark had to say about Micheal Terry?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like during the spring when I was just reading reports and people would ask about Micheal Terry, and then there'd just be a response of, he was kind of a Swiss Army knife in high school. It's going to take a little time for him to figure out what fits him best for college, whether that be running back, wide receiver, maybe even the defense. And it could be one of those situations where injuries could dictate that as well. You get a couple injuries and he's a guy that you can all of a sudden just throw in a different position. And while he may not have a gigantic head start at one position because of where he was in high school, I think there is flexibility in what you can do with him as far as you get a couple running backs go down. Micheal Terry would have been thrown to running back immediately last year as a freshman. If it was,
Texas didn't have a Savion Red last year, and I think that maybe hurt them a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Gibson was the closest thing they had to Savion Red running style wise. But as far as a kind of Swiss Army knife guy that you could just throw in, Texas didn't have that. And I think Micheal Terry could have been that a year ago. So this year, I mean, right now, yeah, I would say he's a red shirt for sure. But that can change when you get into camp and a couple guys go down, and all of a sudden you're putting them, at a completely different position than you would have thought, whether that be on defense or offense. But I know that when they recruited him, they had a plan of how to develop him to kind of be a bit of a Swiss Army knife for the offense. The problem with that is that means you're probably not a year one contributor, because it's just too hard to be a year one contributor like that, especially at a place like Texas. And so, yeah, I would imagine the plan for him is to kind of just learn this year, refine his skills, and try to get ready to put himself on the field next year.
Yeah, and you've got DeAndre Moore, who's a junior. You got Trey Wingo, who's a true sophomore. You've got Emmett Mosley, who just transferred in as a sophomore. Those are your top three guys. And then you've got, true wide receivers in a Jamie French and a Parker Livingstone. You got true wide receivers in Khalil Lockett, who are probably more refined as wide receivers. And so just a lot to battle through, I would say. for a guy like Michael Terry, who hasn't had that development in that the skill, or not the skill, but the time attributed to the position.
Yeah, an immense talent, but a talent that needs refined to make an impact on the field. And I'm sure if they really just absolutely wanted to work him on the field this year, they could find specific plays and things like that for him. But I would imagine it's more of a long-term developmental plan. That said, we'll probably see him a little bit, but we'll probably only see him in the games, after Ohio State and before Florida.
Yeah.
You'll see little glimpses of him. But then I imagine once you get into play, he'll be essentially a redshirt eligible type of player
I
when
was
it's
gonna
all said and
say
done.
they changed the rule too, Jake. Can't you play 3 games, or you can play
They can play in 4 games, and
in
I,
4
I I
games?
don't think there's much of a limit to the amount of snaps that you can
Okay.
play in those games either anymore.
It
I'll
used to
have to
be
brush
red
up
shirt,
on,
you were done. Like
and
you're
it's been changed for a little while, but I'll have to brush up on the red shirt rules. Maybe I can look it up while we're doing this
I
episode.
mean,
But
we saw that with Arch Manning, his true freshman year. He actually got some playing time and got to actually be in games, but it still counted as a red shirt season for him.
yeah, and yeah, I think it's 4 games. I can't. The Google AI thing is definitely wrong on that. Uh, but yeah, yeah, I'm trying to
It's
find
okay.
it while
Don't worry about it.
talking, but
Don't worry about it.
yeah, it's like 3 or 4 games you can participate in, and I don't think there's a snap limit anymore. But I don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll matter. I think he'll end up just playing a handful of snaps in second halves in 2-3 games this year. But I don't find that concerning. I know some people will be like, well, he was a 5-star, and it's like, well, you gotta know the background behind the player and know that he's a 5-star talent, but that doesn't mean he's refined as a football player ready to go
Jordan
year
Whittington.
one.
Jordan Whittington was a 5-star. It took him a little bit of time, and then by the time his career was over at Texas, he maybe finished his career as one of the most beloved Texas Longhorn football players of all time. It
Yeah,
just takes
and
a little bit of time.
yeah, and Terry could end up being like a Whittington, except for hopefully he can stay healthy,
Right.
because that really hurt Whittington's career stats wise and kind of put him behind the 8 ball more. But I could see Terry end up being kind of that slot guy who does a lot of the dirty work. Except for he also a guy you can probably get on some jet sweeps, on some jet touch passes.
Just line him up in the backfield. I
Yeah,
mean,
throw him in the backfield for a play, maybe even some wildcat. I haven't seen too much of his throws from high school, but
he doesn't need to throw the ball. That's fine.
no, he
That's
he won't need to throw the ball. But there will be options with him. I just don't think they're going to come year one.
Wide receiver pass. When was the last time we saw a wide receiver throw a touchdown for Texas? We almost saw it this last year. It was Matthew Golden who completely missed on Helm, and then they went right back to it, and Helm came down with it. That's the second time.
Yeah. The first throw was
Dreadful.
one I like to forget. I think that's why I couldn't recall that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And they were laughing about it, but yeah, we haven't seen
Golden,
too many
right?
double pass type plays. Yeah, it was Golden. I'm pretty sure it was Golden.
Okay. It was him or more, but I was pretty sure it was Golden. So, but yeah, Jake, so I know we've kind of discussed it, but where does he fit eventually, like full time into this offense? When do we think that will be, and how do you think Sark is going to utilize him?
Man, I wish I felt like more confident in an answer on it, just because, like I said, I think there's some variability here that could happen that could lead to him all of a sudden being a running back. He got 2 guys go down at camp. You're going to be putting someone else at running back in this year. I think Terry be one of the first choices. I think more than likely he ends up being a slot receiver. For Texas, where he's kind of in that position where you can utilize him in motion, hand off the ball to him, have him involved in reverses, and he'll probably take some snaps in the backfield as well, as kind of a gadget type guy. But I think he'll be a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, and he'll be used a lot more than Keelan Robinson, but maybe in like a similar type role to Keelan Robinson with a little bit more focus at wide receiver.
All right. Yeah, I like that. And I think it's going to take maybe, obviously, I think this year is going to be considered a red shirt year. Like you said, we might see him in the 3 games post Ohio State, pre Florida. where you got what is it, Sam Houston State, you got UTEP and San Jose State. Those teams, I think you might be able to see him come into those games and get some snaps, and we'll kind of see maybe where he is then. But I don't think we see him probably the remainder of the season unless he really shows some big time glimpses in those games, and you're like, well, I don't think we can take him off the field or keep him off this team in terms of getting some minutes. But yeah, I would think, his redshirt sophomore year, going into his junior year, possibly maybe take a little bit more time to develop in the offseason, but maybe halfway through his sophomore year, towards the end of the sophomore year, he starts really coming on strong. And then you go into that junior year and he's kind of like your full-time go-to slot guy who's doing kind of the dirty work, like you're saying.
Yeah. Was Matthew Golden, by the way, 1 of 2 with 30 yards last year.
Yeah.
I went to the statistics and
missed
went
the
to
first
basket.
one and then hit the second one. And it was the Gunnar Helm had to climb the ladder for that one. It still wasn't a great throw.
No, it wasn't a good throw, but it's about as good as you can hope for when you have a true wide receiver making the pass.
Yeah. I love the fact that Sark was like, we'll give you a mulligan on this one, because it was so bad that you had to give him a second chance.
It was so bad that you felt bad for him as a coach. And we're like, I gotta give you one more chance to redeem yourself on television. If you embarrass yourself again, then I look stupid.
I got to show the fans why I ran this play in the first place. Okay. So don't mess it up the second time. All right. That's going to do it for today's episode. But yeah, some Michael Terry talk for everybody. And if we get any more articles like this that come out, any more discussions that Sark brings up, post practices or anything like that, this time of year, I feel like he gets a little bit more hush hush. He's probably not going to be as transparent, as open in terms of, game plans or anything like that. But he always gives a pretty straight answer when it comes to talking individual players. And so I'll be interested to see if any other names pop up for him before the Ohio State game. If we see any of that sort of thing, we will discuss it right here on the channel. All right. That's going to do it for myself, Tanner Carlson. That's Jake Jimerson. Again, we come out with these episodes Monday through Friday, each and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe. Spread the word. And word of mouth is the best way to get your name out there. So we appreciate it. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.